Hey, everybody. It is Thursday night. That means we survived Wednesday night, which, if you're local to Huntsville, was quite an accomplishment. Kudos to you. And that means that it is time for some shop talks. So let's get right to it. Boom! We survived. Wednesday was that was something. Storms rolling through, tornadoes hitting Huntsville, all kinds of stuff. But the guy who survived in a redneck basement, Alan.
Thank God for rednecks, because let me tell you what, that thing was sturdy.
Yeah,
So glad to see everybody made it through last night, relatively unscathed.
relatively
That's always good.
agreed. So how did you fare? Did
Uh,
anything terrible happen your way?
no, not really. I mean, it did what it always does. It either goes just to the north of us or just to the south of us, and then just kind of goes from there. There is where Limestone County Prison is at. That's like one of the main tornado tracks.
Yep.
So it, as bizarre as it sounds, I mean, whatever magnetic field is underneath the earth there, it will draw a tornado to it just about every single time.
You don't think that tornadoes are just drawn to crime?
Maybe, maybe not. Don't know. Never can tell.
That's true, I guess.
So you are still working hard on that package over there, aren't you?
Well, I got it out of the packaging. Now I'm trying to figure out how the actual stand goes together. I thought it was just hinged and it would slot open, but that is not the case.
Yep.
Although I do think I've got it figured out now.
So how was Free Comic Book Day to the shop?
Well, Free Comic Book Day was pretty great. It was down a little bit from last year, both in revenue for the store and in donations for Mana House. But the donations that we got were not just like ramen noodles, they were much higher quality stuff. So that was pretty cool. So kind of six of one, half dozen of the other there. But in any case, it was a great day. We had a lot of new readers come in. We had um, a lot of kids. We had a lot of kids in reading comic books, which is always great. And on the whole, just had a really great time. The artists were doing a great job. They had a lot of cool stuff going on. Um, we loved it. I mean, as a guy who came to the event, what did you think?
I enjoyed the fact that it was like, I think we were there for about an hour, maybe an hour and a half. And it was like coming and going in waves.
Mm-hmm.
When we were there, it was, decent crowd. Then it got really busy and then it died off for a few minutes. I liked when it died off because that kind of gave you a chance to move around and just check stuff out. But then just as quick as it died off, it got, busy all over again.
Oh yeah.
So I do like the come and go waves. I always enjoy that. I did also, seeing Corbin and Jeremy, and that was always cool because I don't get to see a lot of them. They're off always doing their own thing. So getting to talk to them for just a minute was nice.
Yep.
So I was
I
wanting to come
thought so
back
too.
up there and get Corbin to remark my badge from the Pop Culture Expo. I just never got a chance to get back up there Saturday afternoon. No, Christine, you have not missed it yet. I have not done it. I will get as soon as we get done talking comics, I will get a pencil and a piece of paper, and you will get an ugly drawing, I promise.
I feel like that needs some context.
So a couple of weeks ago, I said that whoever delivered the most food between 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. got to throw a pie in my face because apparently Nick Ellis wants to throw a pie in my face. Well, Christine said that she wanted, if she had turned in the most food, she wanted a drawing of a pie done by me. Well, Christine did exactly what I said. She met the parameters. She was there. She had it in by 11. And Nick, like usual, can't show up on time. So Christine wins the pie.
Well, there you go. Are you going to do this drawing live on camera?
Oh, yeah, I'm going to do it live on camera, and then I'll hold it up.
I'm going to need like 3 dimensions to this pie, too, not just like you got a protractor and a circle. That ain't going to cut it.
Oh, no, I've actually got something, an idea in my head of what I'm actually going to draw.
Well, speaking of ideas, speaking of drawing, it's like you say the words and magic people show up. It's Bianca!
So, at the Pop Culture Expo, I was doing everything I could trying to talk Bianca into coming on the show.
Yep.
She said that she doesn't really and truly, whenever she does stuff, it's mainly her hands is what you see on the live cam.
Yep.
And I thought that we should do one show where we have Bianca on. Her camera is literally focused on her hands. And I was kind of thinking, and I thought about this after the show, the entire stream should literally consist of us talking from the beginning to the end of a drawing that's done by you. It does not have to be colored because I know that, that could take more time. But I think that would be fun if we can get her to do it one night.
I think that would be spectacular. I love it. Speaking of things that I love, we have a guest on tonight's show. We just found out about it, but here he is.
Nick, everybody loves talking to the bald fat man.
Aaron!
What's up, Aaron?
Cutest intro ever. Oh my God. Thank you. Hi.
And look at you with all those curls.
I know. It was really windy today. So
Who is that?
It got gradually bigger as the night progressed.
Yeah, it gets windy here too, but my hair doesn't do that.
Yeah.
Who is that in the drawing that's behind you to your left? It's got the F on there.
You don't recognize that person?
Is that not from Fat Albert?
No.
I see why you would say that.
I think that though. No, this is Forbush Man, famed Marvel superhero from their Not Brand X series, which was their response to Mad Magazine. He's their Fred Newman. Is that guy's name?
Yeah, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. He's their mascot for that like parody series, and I love him very dearly. You
want to know who drew that? Alan?
Who drew that?
Aaron Lepresti.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, why weren't you out there with the artists on Free Comic Book Day?
Me?
Not Aaron Michaels.
Never mind.
Lepresti.
It went completely and totally over my head. Never mind.
You thought I drew that? Oh, you thought I drew that?
I heard Aaron and tuned everything else out.
That's fair. No. I love this guy. His super suit is made out of like various accoutrements of his house. Like his super suit is his pajamas, like rain boots, and a bed sheet secured by a bobby pin, or not bobby pin, a diaper pin, and a kitchen pot as his head helmet. He's awesome.
Well, from here, it looks like that when you're a youngin', so you probably won't know what I'm talking about. It looks like that the one Halloween episode of Fat Albert where they all dressed up for Halloween.
I know Fat Albert.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the movie, the live action movie they made. I'm talking about the OG.
You mean hey, yeah.
Where they had to rush home and watch the Brown Hornet cartoon, all that.
Yep.
See, Aaron is half the age, or actually less than half the age of, say, me, but he was raised on all the same good stuff that we were. So he's a remarkable young man in that regard, and I love it.
That means Mom did it right.
She did.
All right, speaking of things that were done right, I got to show this off now that I've got it all pulled together, right?
I'm going to resituate my lighting real quick. BRB.
Yeah. All right, so for anybody who has not seen these at the shop, where did I put the other one? Here it is.
There we go.
We have these. It's 2 miniature figures, 2 comic books, and a stand so that you can display your G.I. Joe comic books. This thing is packaged within an inch of its life, and it takes like an act of Congress to get this thing open. So bear that in mind. But I did open one of these, just like on the cooking shows, like here's one I prepared earlier.
Nice.
The miniature figures are tiny, but they're Snake Eyes. And it actually has a little bit of articulation. The arms go out and up and down and around. But that's Snake Eyes. Cool. Try and put him in front of me so there's more contrast. There's Duke. The Cobra one is Cobra Commander and the Crimson Guard. And then here is one of the comics on this. Actually turns out to be a pretty cool display on the stand. So you can just stand this bad boy up. Notice there's not a bag or anything. They send you a bookmark with it, which is to support the comic in the middle so that it can stand on the stand. So that's pretty darn cool. And if you don't have one of these, you should get one because we have them at the store and they're for sale, and we would definitely like for them to find a good home.
What issue is that?
This is number 10 of, and it's written by Chuck Dixon. So this is back from the previous run before IDW.
Was that kind of the whole Devil's Due Image run?
It was during that time frame, but the other issue that was in there was 253 of the IDW run.
Oh, okay.
Very nice.
In the Cobra Commander one, I've got, I don't know what the second issue is, but the first one that you can see was the annual from 2012.
Nice.
A real American hero.
That's probably explains the extra weight, because this one's very heavy and an annual is a thicker comic. So that's probably the extra weight. But yeah, this is pretty darn cool, guys. These are awesome. You get miniature figs, comics, and a stand to display your comics that is branded with G.I. Joe. What more could you want? I mean, seriously, what more could you want? G.I. Joe. It's pretty awesome.
Speaking of G.I. Joe,
yeah,
that's actually a good segue into one of the free comic book day comics.
I'm going to guess that means you're going to talk about the Energon universe.
The Energon universe.
Let's talk about something else with that right now first, shall we?
Right.
Okay, so Saturday, free comic book day, you could get a copy of that Energon universe book for a whopping $0.00. This week, they have the exact same material on sale, but with new covers. And darn them if I didn't have to order some, because some of those covers were really, really, really cool. I'm a hypocrite.
Is it literally everything that's in this book?
Yep.
Or because the way it's done, so like the G.I. Joe story in the back, that could very easily be like, say, the middle or the ending segment of an issue of G.I. Joe.
Mm-hmm.
So does one of those covers, is it nothing but G.I. Joe story, or is it literally just this with a different cover?
It's that with different cover.
Dang it, man.
I don't like that.
I don't love it either, but the cover's really cool, and I'm a total hypocrite, so I had to get it.
Yeah, I mean, that's good for the free comic book day people who missed it and whose stores ran out of them. So I guess that's good a little bit, but good.
Yeah.
Day.
Speaking of free comic book day books, have you had a chance to read the Blood Hunt book from Free Comic Book Day?
I did not read the free comic book day, but I have read Blood Hunt 1. So
the Free Comic Book Day intro was fantastic.
So good.
And then in the back, it had an intro to the Gail Simone X-Men book, which also fantastic.
Yeah.
That was frustratingly good.
It was. I was really shocked by the end of that. I was like, that's a really big reveal to do in a free comic book day book. I'm hyped.
I like what it was setting up for the X-Men, that, okay, Krakoa is gone. The X-Men are back. Like, all these mutants have had to go somewhere because they got no Krakoa anymore. So where did they go, and how do they have to live?
All over the place.
They have to live as refugees and criminals, and so they're being hunted. That makes for a much more interesting story to me than, hey, we formed our own nation, blah, 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 blah.
I'm really excited. I'm also really excited about the way that the teams are getting split up for the X-Men this go around. Oh, it's going to be so good. I don't know which of the teams I'm most excited about, which is a really good problem to have.
Well, I know that there are 2 of the 3 that I'm interested in checking out. And then there's a third one I couldn't care less about.
That's fair. There's one character on that book that I'm like, yeah, I would read just for her. And then there's another one that I'm like, I would ignore this book entirely just for her.
Because of her? Yep.
Yeah. But I'm like, oh, okay.
My whole thing is, I feel like we've been burned by X-Men so much over the years. I'm scared to pick it up.
Fair.
Except you got 2 factors that would point you to have to pick it up.
Gail Simone being one of them.
And Jed McKay being the other.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Jed McKay here in a minute, too.
So we might as well dive into it, because Blood Hunt, the Free Comic Book Day book, did a really good job of setting up what comes. And let's start, I guess, with Moon Knight number 4 and number 5, because that leads right into it. And I know that you had to read Moon Knight number 4 because you swore you would.
I did. I had a stack of like 15 issues.
I'm not even talking about you. I'm talking about Alan.
He's talking
Alan's
about me,
behind.
actually, on that one.
Oh.
So, here's my thing.
You were going to read it last night, and you couldn't because of the weather.
No, I have read it.
Okay.
I'm caught up on Moon Knight. My thing, though, is at the end of issue 4, that reveal was kind of anticlimactic to me. Because I was really hoping for, like, I'm like you. I mean, I was hoping for Zodiac, or like I said in the shop, I thought it would have been cool if it was Frenchie, if they brought him into it. So for it to, and here comes, this is everybody's 2-second spoiler warning if you haven't read it. But for it to end up being the Shroud, it was kind of anticlimactic to me until I read issue 5.
Exactly.
And it made so much more sense that it was him, and it was actually sad.
Yeah.
I mean, there were parts of it that was a literal gut punch. And I love how Jed McKay is taking characters these obscure random characters that really and truly nobody cared about, and has made them viable characters. I mean, has really given them a good story and everything. You know, Tigra. Who would have ever cared? Would you ever have imagined? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No,
me.
He was answering your question.
Oh, yeah.
Gotcha. Would you ever have imagined that you would have read one of those confession-style stories involving 8-Ball? And
Never in a million years.
The end of it, you're cheering 8-Ball on.
So hard, yes.
And like when he says, "I'm going to call my shot," you're just like, "Hell yeah, let's do this." He's just done a fantastic job with these obscure characters.
A great writer can take a character that is obscure like that, not very well known, all that jazz, and make them somebody you want to read.
Yep.
And he has done a fantastic job throughout the Moon Knight series of doing that. I'm kind of like you when it was revealed to be Shroud. I thought that was kind of totally out of left field.
I was very confused about that too. Yeah.
I was like, why? What's going on? I mean, what are you reaching back for? And I thought that was interesting. And some of the things that I thought were cool because, like where he threw the cayenne pepper in Tigra's face so she couldn't smell anything.
Yep.
Like, I thought that was because Zodiac didn't want her to know it was him. Like,
yeah.
I really thought it was Zodiac. So for him to reach way back to the West Coast Avengers again, that tells me he really likes West Coast Avengers. Really made me wonder what's going on. But then the way that this whole thing tied in you have to think that Marvel was having a big meeting with all their writers, and they were going, okay, we've got this upcoming event. We're trying to set up. We're doing this. We're doing that. We're doing that. How can you tie your book into this in a way that makes sense? And he goes, got it. I got you covered. It's going to make sense. It's going to be poignant. It's going to hurt. It's going to hit on all the levels, and it's going to hit on all the feels. And boom, here you go. And they're like, wait, seriously? The Shroud? And he's like, you tell me it doesn't work with what you're doing.
Yeah, if you would have told me at issue 3, hey, Blood Hunt is about to start. It's going to be massive. It's going to be good, and it's all going to be kicked off by Shroud being revealed as being Moon Knight. I would have been like, Josh, you're absolutely insane. It's not going to happen. That is the dumbest way to kick it off. But now that I've read it, it was absolutely brilliant.
And you see why I said you needed to read that before Blood Hunt.
Yeah, and I'm glad you told me to, because I was literally getting ready to read Blood Hunt. And I was like, no, wait a minute. Josh said I needed to read this first. So I went and I read that one. And then I read 5. And then I went into Blood Hunt. Now, it just, when you read 4, 5, and then Blood Hunt 1, it makes perfect sense.
Seamless.
My experience was the other way around. I read Blood Hunt, or I read the Free Comic Book Day, then Blood Hunt. And then I went back and reread Moon Knight. Or read through Moon Knight. So I didn't understand why it was Shroud either. And then I was like, oh, okay. I see what's about to happen. This is really cool. Because Blood Hunt stands very, very well on its own. I was really nervous that I would have to get caught up on Blade and Doctor Strange and Moon Knight in order to comprehend what was going on. Not at all. Not one bit. You just dive in. And it's so good. It's so good. I loved all of those Dark Force user cameos at the beginning. Oh my God. That made me so happy. And honestly, that makes me more excited for some of the tie-in issues. Having Cloak in the beginning makes the Blood Hunters tie-in this week make so much more sense, because it's Hawkeye and just Dagger by herself. I saw that in the solicits and I was like, where is Cloak? What is happening? Why would you just do Dagger by herself? What? Now I get it. Now I'm really excited. That's probably one of my most anticipated issues in my pull list right now.
I went from not really being excited about the spinoffs at all to being very interested in most of them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I tell you,
fast.
The one that looks the most interesting, because I went ahead and flipped to the back so I could see exactly which tie-ins we had.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about the Amazing Spider-Man tie-ins. I'm just going to have to kind of wait and see, because once again, another book that we've been burned by. I am looking forward to Blood Hunters, but one that really, when I saw the cover of it, I was like, okay, that looks intriguing. That Union Jack the Ripper.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, because you look at it and you're like, when you first see it, you first think, is that Captain Britain? The first time I saw it, I was like, is that Captain Britain? And then I was like, Union Jack the Ripper. Okay, that could be different. That looks like that might be cool.
No, I think that one's going to be very cool. I've always kind of had a soft spot for Union Jack. The Invaders, I like all of that. Going back, but no, I'm really excited for that. I think that's going to be really cool.
I'm really excited about the Jubilee tie-in issue. That's going to just retread all of her vampire trauma.
Yep.
Let's go. All
right, so let's talk about Blood Hunt itself.
Mm-hmm.
There were 2 versions of the book that came out.
Yes.
You had the regular version, which was PG-13, and then you had the red band version, which was in a poly bag and was essentially considered rated R because it had more pages, more blood, more gore, etc. Having read them both, I didn't really notice a significant change between them until the very last page. And that change was pretty pronounced.
Yeah.
So
I read the PG.
I have not read the red band one yet. What's the last? You can go ahead and tell me.
I think it's better that I show you.
I do it. I love it.
Yeah.
Let me let me procure my comic books, and I
It's
will
really
do that.
fun. One of my friends.
While he's looking at that, the only thing, and I don't know why it just did not sit well with me, Thor kind of got on my nerves. I don't know
Because
why.
he was brought in as like a Deus Ex Machina kind of thing, and then and I thought because that was what he normally does, right?
Yeah.
I have fought 10 bazillion frost giants, no problem. I can do this, and then it was like, oh, you just got your butt handed to you, son.
Yeah.
And I
like,
think that was the
severely.
entire purpose of it was to show that all these mega level heroes that are normally the ones who just go and save the day, they're not going to be able to do jack.
Mm-mm.
And I think that's the whole purpose of what he was trying to show there.
The way they incapacitated their MVP, incredible.
Yeah, when that
100%.
happened, I was like, okay, good. I don't have to worry about him getting on my nerves for this entire run.
Yep.
Oh, I wasn't talking about Thor.
Who? Who are you talking about?
Scarlet Witch.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That woman, with the lore of what they've been doing with her over the last like 5 years, she is in a position to eradicate all of the vampires in the world immediately if she wants to. She could do a full-on M day for the vampires in an instant. And they addressed that in the book, which I was really surprised.
They certainly do.
And I was like, yeah, this could be epic. And then they trap her in a mind palace. Beautiful.
And see,
all right. So
I would turn her into a vampire.
This is gonna break my heart.
So
yeah,
all right.
It would be awesome though.
It would.
All right, so the last page of the regular version of Blood Hunt. You want to embiggen me?
Big old spoilers.
Yeah, big spoilers. Boop, boop, boop. This is what happens. It is revealed, I guess I should say, that the bad guy behind this entire plot to bring all these vampires in from the dark dimension and all this is in fact Blade himself.
I guess we've got some people that hadn't read it yet because we lost viewers real quick.
But this last scene here of Blade stepping up and running, it's not showing up very well, and running a knife, running a sword through, God, why is this so terrible? There you go.
Yeah, okay.
Running a sword through
there you go.
Through Doctor Strange's chest. Okay, so that's how it ends in the regular version of the book, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Here's how it ends in the red band version of the book.
Oh, wow.
He gets cleaved in half.
Wow.
Yeah, and you see his intestines.
His entrails are out.
I mean,
Yes.
honestly,
His entrails have become his extrails.
yeah, I read a lot of independent comics, so to me, that's not very shocking or graphic, but at the same time, that's massive for Marvel to do that.
It is indeed. And the other thing, it's in both versions. I checked because I was like, I wonder if they're showing the exact same thing in both versions. Is what happens to Thor.
Yeah.
I
read the PG-13 like normal cut, and then my friend Julian bought the red band cut, and we were like comparing and contrasting over the phone and like showing each other the alternate pages because they do format them very differently and different things. And but like nothing that you're gonna miss in the PG-13 cut, but like just kind of expanded, which I thought was a very good way to do that.
Yeah, I didn't feel like there was anything substantive really. I do love that Hunter's moon is so prominent in this story. Like, there you go.
I love him.
I do too. He's awesome.
That's a great character.
You know what I was really shocked by? The presence of the Blood Coven.
Oh, yeah.
Totally forgot about those guys, which is crazy because of how great their character design is. Like, just all 5 of them, or all 6 of them. They look so cool. And those are Jed McKay originals from The Death of Doctor Strange from 2 years ago. Yep. And I was like, oh man, I was not expecting to see that in a major capacity.
Here it is. This is what happens to Thor.
Yeah.
Right through the head. Right through the eyeball, through the head.
You should have gone for the head.
I thought about that when I flipped the page and saw that. I thought, well, at least he went for the head.
But yeah, I thought the story was great. I was, hey, we've got Jay on. What's happening, brother? I was leery going into it. I'm a big fan of Jed McKay, and I think he's pretty spectacular. So I had faith on that front. But it's vampires, and Marvel has never been real good at vampires. Midnight Suns in the 90s was pretty decent, but all the best stories weren't vampires. It was Darkhold and all that stuff, right?
Witches.
So, okay, they're going to do vampires. Is that going to be any good? And really, I would have told you no. I would have said that's probably not very good. But holy smokes, Blood Hunt was extremely good. The pacing, the details, this never-ending onslaught. And then when you find out that they've been betrayed by one of their own, like, and here it's Dracula showing up to help. Like, that's such a total about face. Really, really interesting. I dug it.
I'm really excited for that spinoff, the Dracula and Bloodline, like Briella book. That's going to be really good.
Yeah, my thing when they announced Blood Hunt was the first thing I thought was, okay, I guess now we're going to have Marvel's answer to DC versus vampires.
That's exactly what I thought too, really.
And
like a few years late at that.
Yeah, and DC versus vampires was awesome from beginning to end. It was so good. The characters they used, everything. Well, I'm liking this one so far. It's going to have to run its course before I can sit here and say one way or another if it's as good or better than DC versus vampires. But I like the way they've started. I like the fact that what is happening is canon, because we're literally have gone from a normal series into it. I mean, this was set up perfectly by an ongoing series. So that's different. I'm liking that so far. And and this is just a minor thing with me, just one of my quirks. I like the fact that when I finished Moon Knight issue number 5 and I flipped open Blood Hunt, Hunter's Moon and Tigra, it looked the same. It wasn't now we've got a new artist, new rendition or something. What?
Hey.
We have a Tots.
Have you read Blood Hunt? Because that's what we're talking, and you need to check it out. Oh, and Tots, another one. You know what? I'm kind of jumping because we'll talk about it later.
Oh, heck yes. And you got the right cover, too. That's my favorite one.
I do like the black and white one. That's the Alex Ross cover.
Uh-huh.
That is a good-looking cover.
What's happening, Tots? We are super stoked to have you join us on a Thursday night. We miss you.
You need to read it, Tots. It's good, but have you read? You don't read Moon Knight. I think that a person could read Blood Hunt 1 without reading Moon Knight 4 and 5, and it would still make sense. There's only one.
It would be especially helpful if you read the Blood Hunt Free Comic Book Day book, but not necessary.
Yeah. But I mean, if you read Moon Knight 4 and 5, it's just it made Blood Hunt so much better to me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. 100% agree.
It's so fun.
Next up on my list was Gotcha Man.
That looks like a Free Comic Book Day book, and it was so good. It took me right back to 1984.
Have you read it? Have either one of y'all read it yet?
Yeah.
I liked it.
Show it off and let's talk some more.
Okay, so we had Gotcha Man number 0. For those of you that don't know,
Battle of the Planets.
Battle of the Planets. It was cool seeing these characters. I'll show you a little bit of the art. It literally felt like I was reading an episode of Battle of the Planets.
Oh, 100%.
I mean,
I wasn't joking when I said it took me right back to 1984.
Yeah, I liked it. It was good. There's definitely enough there to make me want to keep reading for a couple of reasons. I think Mad Cave has done a really good job with this,
Hang on one
but
sec. Tots, read Vengeance of Moon Knight number 4 and number 5, and then read Blood Hunt number 1.
As far as the first story is concerned, that one panel right there, a second team, I want to know more about that. I thought that was a really good way. But this secondary story, Inner Compass, was so good. I mean, you knew who he is. I mean, you know who he is, but the pacing of it and kind of the build up, and then it basically telling you who he was without telling you who he is. I thought that was great. I love the way they did that.
I thought it was fantastic all the way around. And like I said, I was very shocked that more people did not take that book on Free Comic Book Day.
Yeah. I love that shot right there of him sitting in the cockpit of the plane and he's holding his side because he's bleeding.
Yeah.
I just thought that was just a great shot. One thing about this book, though, that made me so glad that I picked it up is because, yes, it is in a comic book, but I own this now, and I love the way that looks.
That is really cool. That does look really good.
I mean, that right there, that is Battle of the Planets. I mean, that's literally what you think of when you think of that, especially for people our age.
Oh, 100%.
And one thing that I noticed, and it's also in the Flash Gordon book, is I like this little like calendar schedule that they put in.
Yep.
To let you know what's coming out when. And I am looking forward to Gotcha Man Ken, because I hope it does more of the whole Inner Compass story. I hope that set up the Ken one shot.
And I bet that it does.
So yeah, definitely looking forward to Gotcha Man. That was a lot of fun, and I mentioned it, so I'll go ahead, and you've mentioned it, so we'll go ahead and jump to it. And then that was really it for the free comic books that I've read so far. Flash Gordon. He's been waiting to do that all week long.
Yes.
I had no idea Aaron was going to do it too. That's fantastic. I mean, I should have known, but
it was a good story. I like the art in it. I think the art looks really good. It fits what you think of when you think of like the old Flash Gordon before the 80s version of it. But I love the fact that they're talking about plasma cannons and there's a DNA syringe dart and all this high-tech stuff, and Flash takes out a guard and picks up a sword. That was just fun for me. I really did enjoy that. Mad Cave, really and truly, with what they put out for Free Comic Book Day, they crushed it for Free Comic Book Day. This was a lot of fun, actually.
100%.
And then the sketches, the concept art in the back, that was a lot of fun. Did he happen to date a girl named Dell Arden?
No, I just bet he had a trench coat.
No. What's up, Mr. Weslowski?
Mike, what's up, Mike?
How goes it?
And the only thing, Mad Cave, if anybody from Mad Cave watches this, the only thing that y'all did that I do not agree with, and I wish y'all hadn't have done, was put these action figures in the back, because that's making me want to buy the action figures now.
They waited until the bitter end. They're like, okay, now that you're hooked, you made it to the end. Here's the toys.
Yeah,
Mission accomplished.
Did you notice who was in the Defenders of the Earth action figure line?
We're grown men. We would never buy toys.
Absolutely not.
There's a little fella in purple.
Yep.
So does that mean we might possibly get a comic out of him sooner or later?
Oh, I hope so.
Hello, old friend.
Yep.
I love him. Yeah. He's one of my favorites.
Hey, well, we're definitely going to get a comic, because if you look, they do have Defenders of the Earth. It's kind of advertised.
Yeah.
And there he is.
There he is, yeah. That's awesome.
I didn't even pay attention to that ad, but yeah, that's fantastic.
Oh, as soon as I saw the toys, I was examining both pages at that point.
I love the Phantom. I always have. He's one of those characters that has got a built-in legacy
Yep.
and generations, so you can tell stories of the first Phantom or the 231st Phantom or whatever, and they're all good. I like that. I like being able to do that. I thought that was well done on their part.
Um, you saying that actually reminded me of something else. I think it was issue 4 of Moon Knight where he's talking about basically that Moon Knight in the past had faced the death cult and everything, and it
Yeah.
showed one Moon Knight on horseback.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was so cool looking.
I
Yeah.
love it.
Yep. So
I
that
love
was the last. That was the last of Moon Knight. Another one that I picked up. We're on to normal comics now. I enjoyed it. I loved the art. I loved the story. I loved everything about it. I loved the ending. I can't wait till issue number 2, and that is surprise, surprise by Mr. Pepos, Space Ghost.
Space Ghost.
Now, I have not read that one yet, but I have heard from everybody that it is phenomenal.
It lived up to the hype. It really did. It honestly lived up to the hype. You've got a backstory for Jan and Jace. You've now got a backstory for Blip. There's actually a reason for Blip the monkey. He's not just comic relief,
Oh, that's good.
and the backstory makes total sense. I was trying to find one particular panel. Where did it go? Oh, right here where he is stopping the drone. Just the way he's drawn with the smaller waist, the bigger, all the muscles and everything, that reminded me of the old cartoon, the way he would fly through space.
Yeah.
I mean, I just thought that was really cool. This was a great book from beginning to end. I mean, it was well worth the wait.
Everybody has been singing that book's praises.
Yeah, and
There
that's
you
one of
go.
those, if you haven't picked it up, you definitely need to grab it and read it. I think it's going to be a fun one. And it even flat out tells you in the next issue, we're headed to Ghost Planet. So we'll have to see what that's actually going to entail. I mean, Pepos did say in that one interview that you're going to get a complete backstory. You're going to know everything you need to know about Space Ghost. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what he did there. Next up on my list, Creature from the Black Lagoon Lives. I never
Just hold that cover
realized.
up for a minute. I want people to see that.
Yep.
That's really cool.
It's reminiscent of Jaws a little bit, but then it's classic Creature from the Black Lagoon. I so love that cover.
I didn't realize until reading this issue how perfect Ram V's writing style is for this type of horror.
Oh, I get it.
I mean, it's very suspenseful, letting it build and everything. It was fun. It was a good read. The art. We'll just go to flip it open where it opens up. I mean, it was really good art too.
It's very atmospheric, which I like. It needs to be because
very.
the setting is part of the story in a major way.
It's the Black Lagoon. You can't put that character anywhere else.
And
Creature
then,
from Venice Beach.
yep. And then
in a mall.
in typical horror movie style, you don't get the big reveal of him until the very end.
Yep.
Which I thought was great. I mean, this was just a fun read. It was one of those. I think I might have grabbed the last copy of it off the shelf.
You may have.
Because I snatched that. What?
So,
Oh yeah, it was.
so-
Last but certainly not least, and I hope that you read it after I told you Saturday to read it. and that was Feral, issue number 2. Did you read it?
I didn't get a chance. But
Mm.
it's okay. Talk about it.
There's a conversation being had, and they're formulating a plot. And literally in mid-sentence, somebody gets snapped up by one of the rabid animals. And I mean, it's just that quick, too.
So it's all Samuel L. Jackson and Deep Blue Sea?
Yeah. I mean, it happens so fast. And this has been real. I didn't think I would like this book, to be honest with you. It was one of those that, okay, it's kind of got a cool premise. I'll pick it up and check it out. And it has been really good. And the end of it really sets up which direction they're fixing to go with the humans, because the humans are going to have to come into this. But when I say, and we've talked about this before, when we say Disney meets New Line Cinema, that's exactly what this feels like.
Yep.
Just the art style and everything. And I understand what they're trying to do with the art. They're really drawing you in and making you feel for these animals and kind of get like some type of, emotional connection with them. And they've pulled it off perfectly. I mean, they've done exactly what they said they were going to do. Because, I mean, and I'm just going to show you, Josh, you might want to turn away. Aaron, this is probably going to cause you to have nightmares.
You should embiggen yourself.
Oh, yeah, I could embiggen myself again. No.
Wrong embiggening.
You can do the same thing in that other view,
You can? I can never make it work in that other view. But you've got everybody's starving. They already know what they can eat and what they can't eat, or at least they're being taught that by, legit feral cats. And as they're coming up with their plan, everything that's going on, they're coming up with their plan, and you literally flip the page and crunch just that fast. And you really actually, from what y'all can see, you don't know which one's dead. So, I kind of didn't spoil anything. He did tell us flat out when we had him on the show, pretty much death is coming to him.
Oh, he did. It definitely did.
So, but if you are wanting some cute little kitty cat story, this is not the story.
This is more like Watership Down.
Yeah.
Oh.
It is rabies. I mean, that's literally what's going on. But to them, it would almost be like it's their version of The Walking Dead.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's literally what it is. And he's done a great job with this story so far. And I think it's only going to be 4 or 5 issues. I don't think it's going to be very many issues.
I do really like that. It's a zombie apocalypse story set in the like from the perspective of cats, but instead of them turning into zombies, they're turning rabid and losing their consciousness. That's really cool. I like that a lot.
Yeah, it's a great concept, great art, gut-wrenching story, because ultimately the cats that it's centered around, they just want to get back home to their humans. That's all they want to do.
Aaron just has to go and hug his cats now.
Yeah, really.
Right here with me, and I didn't know she was there until like 2 minutes ago, and I'm like, she's been sitting with me the whole time. Oh.
So yeah, it's if you're a horror fan, read it. If you want something different, read it. Like I said, I've enjoyed it a lot more than what I thought I would.
That's
awesome. Legit. That's legit. He told us that it was going to be tragic. And I can certainly see a million ways in which it does that, including at the end, they finally get back to their humans. Their humans think that they're rabid and their humans kill them.
It...
Say that to me.
I could absolutely see that horrible ending happening.
Well, one of them makes a comment about if we can just get home, our humans will protect us. And another one is like, our humans let them take us. But they're still trying to get home.
It's like that Sandman issue. That's really sad.
Yeah, he put a lot of thought into this.
The dream of 1,000 cats. where it's like that one cat's in her monologue the whole time, and she's like very casually mentioning like the horrific things that her humans have done to her and her children. Oof. It's if it's even a third as poignant as that, I'm in tears. That's so sad. The humans turn into zombies too. Plot twist.
No. The humans are dead and the cats eat the humans. I think that's what he's saying.
Oh, that's funny. Gross.
They wanted to find their humans because they knew their humans were delicious.
They'd be tasty.
Oh, and that was another thing, which it was one of those. It was a very nice detail. One of the cats cannot climb trees because he's been declawed. And that's how they're actually getting away from the bigger predators that are on the ground is through the trees. And I think he gets scared when they've got to make this jump over the water. So one of the legit feral cats comes and snatches him up in his mouth like a mama cat and just makes the jump with him.
Oh.
I mean, it's really good, the little details. You know, out of that entire group, one of them's declawed. One of them just wants to go home. You know, there's one that, yeah, we know after the first issue, it's only a matter of time before this one turns.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, the whole Walking Dead for cats is a very good description for it.
It's a big, like, maximizing the concept, too. Like, that's really, like, doing everything. That's doing everything. I love that.
Yep. Yeah, he definitely didn't hold back any. That's one if I would definitely tell people to pick that one up. So, and you had mentioned this earlier, Josh, and I did look it up. If you happen to get out of all those Energon, if you happen to get that Tom Riley cover, the variant, I wouldn't be opposed if it ended up in box 51.
We should just refer to your box as Area 51 and be done with it.
I never thought of that. That is.
I never did either until just this moment.
Reading material for the aliens. How generous of you to teach them of our ways.
You know what? As long as they'll talk to me about it afterwards, I'm fine. I'll teach them.
A care package to Area 51.
If aliens learned about human culture by reading superhero books, that might be the best thing that could ever happen for us, because they would think they know how to defeat us.
Okay.
Don't be aggressive. They know how to beat us. They always win.
You brought it up, so I've got to ask the question. If you had to give an alien culture one story arc, miniseries, whatever, and that's the only way they're going to learn about human culture or the human spirit in general, which one would it be?
I really feel like this is one that would benefit from me having a lot more time to think about it.
It would, but keep in mind, as I was asking the question, I've already got my answer and the reason why.
Well, I could tell you my answer right now, too, that I know of off the top of my head. And it might be a strange one, but it would be Fantastic Four by Ryan North, Volume 2, trade paperback, because that includes the episode, the issue where it's the aliens on the ship.
Yep.
And the Fantastic Four help them, and you hardly even see them through it.
That would be a good one.
I think I went somewhere similar. Because I went for a selfish, not to teach the aliens, but to maybe like tell them something.
That's kind of what I went with too.
Yeah, like this is this is for the culture, but it's also like to subliminally plant an idea in their head. I'd say the Inhumans, the 2006 run. Like the sheer adversity
Paul Jenkins
characters.
Okay.
Like the sheer adversity of like aliens, the experimentation and the perseverance and like the triumph of their species. Yeah. I think that's both very human and very alien. It would be like transmittable. Also, they're cool. It's Game of Thrones in space.
I actually went with the Renew Your Vows miniseries, just for the simple reason that Peter, Mary Jane, and Annie Mae, they never gave up on each other. They fought for each other pretty much throughout the whole thing, and in the end, they persevered, and Peter still did the right thing.
That is very human. That's a good pick.
no matter what, the family stuck together. They kept, even when Peter was trying to sacrifice himself.
I feel like we need to bring this comment to the fore.
Yeah. Would they understand Superman for all
Now, hang
seasons?
on. You don't know why this is such a big comment, Aaron.
Sorry, Chrissy.
Alan, explain why this is such a big deal.
Because this may actually be the book that brings Nicholas back to the fold.
Nick read through every single issue from start to current of Amazing Spider-Man.
Brave soul.
And so when it got bad, he read it. And when it stayed bad for 20 some odd years, he kept reading it. And so now he's just disappointed in all comic books, but Spider-Man particularly. And the way that they did Spider-Man and Mary Jane and tore everything apart really did not sit well with him. And I tried to tell him, buddy, you need to read Ultimate Spider-Man because it's what you want in Spider-Man. And it took forever to convince him, but he read Ultimate Spider-Man, and you just saw the result.
That's pretty awesome. Kudos. Also, I salute you, sir. Like just tearing through all of that. That's bravery. That's brave.
It's brutal.
Yeah, it's brutal.
There's a whole lot of
Yes.
Yep. I've got it at home. I just have not read it yet.
Also,
You
I
haven't
would
read
say
any of Spider-Man yet?
No, because it's only 3 issues so far. It's 4 issues so far. Have not read it yet. I wanted to get through the Free Comic Book Today stuff and recent releases before I started something that. Did you like that?
Yeah.
Okay. We have this group chat that I don't think it's ever going to stop at this point.
I don't either.
And Nick does like to text when we're doing the show. But I also did that to Nick when they did Two Brothers Babylon. He would make comments and I would just text him in the middle of their show. And the only reason why I did it is not because I wanted to make sure he read the comment, because I wanted to make sure that at least once or twice in every show, he did this number. And had to go through his phone.
Oh, yeah. I was expecting for some soliloquy. I was expecting a performance.
If you go back and watch some of those Babylon episodes, you will literally see him reach for something and then his head goes down.
Good.
And here's the thing about it. He would respond every single time, and that just made it worse.
Oh, for the bait.
He did.
Good.
He did. But I got to tell you, Ultimate Spider-Man number 4, have you read it yet, Aaron?
No, I'm behind.
I
read
Ultimate Spider-Man 4. The entire issue, the whole thing, is essentially a double date at a restaurant.
Good. That's what I live for.
The entire thing.
Yes.
It's just 2 people sitting there talking, and it's really a bizarre kind of change of pace. I think there's a smidge that happens outside the restaurant where there's some conversation between Uncle Ben and J. Jonah Jameson and the Parker kids, which is pretty great. But the vast majority of it is them sitting and talking at a restaurant. And it doesn't spoil anything because it gets revealed right off the bat. But the conversation occurs between Peter and MJ, who go there to meet this new guy that Peter just met and his wife. And those people are Harry Osborn and Gwen Stacy Osborn.
Ouch.
What?
Yeah.
No, he didn't.
Yeah.
Hickman's a fiend. He must be stopped. Also never said That's awesome. What?
I really hope they kill her in the Ultimate Universe also.
Rude.
She's
really
actually really cool.
Gwen
Oh,
Stacy Osborne.
Mike, you're not reading it either, I guess.
Yeah, Parker Kids.
Yes. Peter and MJ have 2 kids. Peter
Yeah.
does not become Spider-Man until he's 35 years old. He's married and has 2 kids.
So here's the thing. I want to read it now simply because of what you've told me about it. I think that's the reason why I liked Renew Your Vows so much, was because you were finally getting the Peter and the MJ that you've always wanted.
Yep.
I hate what Marvel has done with Amazing Spider-Man.
Yep.
I mean, I've hated it for years. I tried reading it. There's been some decent issues here and there. Whatever that story arc was with the hybrid or whatever he was, but you had those couple of issues maybe a year or two ago with Sin Eater in them.
Mm-hmm.
I like that, but other than that, I don't like what they've done to the character.
No.
But with Renew Your Vows, I felt like I was finally getting what I wanted, and now the way that y'all have described Ultimate, I definitely want to read it now because that's the Spider-Man that I want.
That's exactly what it is. The first issue where he is given the opportunity to be Spider-Man is really interesting and is extremely well done. The second issue, he's like going out for a test drive. He's trying it out, right? And he meets his first villain. And he has no idea what to do or how to do it. But he's still got the quippy comebacks and everything, but he's also just so not jaded that it's brilliantly and fantastically done. The third issue is fantastic. And then this fourth issue was strange because it was so like talking heads the whole time, but so much story was happening. It was really, really good.
I'm really cool with that, though. I love a good dinner scene that holds a lot of tension. Like, I started Chip Zdarsky's Daredevil, like, really late. I started at, like, issue 6. Oh, thank you. I mean, like, as it was being published. And
you still get it, even though, I mean, it doesn't matter.
But the thing that, like, really, really hooked me wasn't the art or the story or anything like that. It was the amount of tension that he was able to hold within a dinner scene of Matt has a new girlfriend. She's the daughter of a crime boss. Matt doesn't know that. He's going to the dinner to meet the parents. And, like, it's the owl. Like, the owl is there at the other side of the table. And Matt is, like, listening to everybody's heartbeat, but he can't hardly hear it over his own. And just the amount of tension of, like, Matt kind of poking the cow a bit of, like, the ongoing crime investigation he was looking into as Daredevil at the time. Oh, it's beautiful. Oh, it's perfect. I love me a good dinner scene. So if they hold
Have you ever read the dinner scene that was in Moon Knight number, I want to say 198 or somewhere thereabouts?
Was that during the Raw stuff?
The Sun King?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You remember the one I'm talking about?
You remember the one you're talking
about? That
about?
dinner scene?
Yes.
Oh, that was amazing.
Scrumptious. It's just peak drama. That's what I love.
It was this whole, I mean, he was in there with this dinner with all these, like, crazy, nasty, bad people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was definitely one of those, I'm not locked in here with you, you're locked in here with me kind of moments. And it was fantastic.
Which is so funny because when I was reading that, I was comparing it to, like, when Spider-Man goes into, like, the bar with no name. And it's such a complete antithesis of that in a way that I really appreciated. I'm like, yeah, this is great. I love heroes interacting with their villains just quietly and just in a civilian manner. It's so good. I love it.
To me, I believe it was Tom King, and it really and truly wasn't a dinner scene, but they're sitting at the dinner table. And it was when Alfred died, when you were leading up to that. Yeah. That I liked that tension that he was able to build there. So
have I told you about that whole Death of Alfred thing?
no,
It was not supposed to be legit.
What?
Um, he brings it up. It happens. That was in the City of Bane story, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
A bunch of retailers. This is back in the day when DC still had a retailer Facebook group that was just private communication between everybody. And a bunch of retailers were like, dude, if y'all had told us this was going to happen, we would have ordered so many more copies. So many more copies. And DC's response was, well, if it was like going to be a real thing, we would have told you. It was not intended to be real. But at some point, they said, well, what if we let this be a real thing? What if we just let this happen?
That seems like the wrong lesson to take from that communication kerfuffle.
Yeah, I don't think the communication group worked too well on that one.
No. But it was not intended to be the real deal.
So do you think they are going to leave him dead? Because I already know how they can bring him back, but yet still leave him dead.
They've already made that clear, yeah.
I haven't been reading Batman. Is he still dead actively?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, not actively. He's just dead.
Yeah, he's just dead.
Inactively, inert.
And I can't remember the issue.
He's inertly dead.
Inert in the dirt.
Inert. Chip Zdarsky's first story arc was Failsafe.
Yep.
And then at the end of Failsafe hits Batman with a gun, and he just basically vaporizes. Well, he wakes up in an alternate dimension. And in that alternate dimension, basically crime has to do what?
Bruce Wayne is dead.
Yeah. Bruce Wayne is dead, and Alfred is the billionaire because he inherited all the Wayne money. Well, crime has completely and totally taken over, and literally the criminals, the supervillains, are the police department. So Bruce Wayne kind of goes on this thing where he has to learn to become fear again. And it's really cool the way he does it. And it does take a long time to get to the ultimate payoff, which was like a big oversized issue, which was great. But him and Alfred kind of have an exchange, and Alfred misses his Bruce and Bruce misses Alfred. They could have very easily have brought this billionaire Alfred into the main continuity.
Yep. The door was open to do that.
But to me, the best part of it was when he was dancing with that alternate realities, Selena Kyle.
Yep.
And he even says, it doesn't matter which universe, which reality, or which world, I will always love her.
Oh.
And you're just like, okay, Chip, put them the freaking back together then. I mean, put us back where we wanted to go. So, yeah, that was really, really good.
Did Bruce die in that reality, like as Batman, or like recently, like so the timelines are kind of synced, or was it like when he was a kid?
Nope, It was
after the bad guys had started coming to the fore, and he tried to fight it as Bruce Wayne with his money.
Copy. Okay.
And when he died, he had left everything to Alfred. So if you bring that Alfred and his money to the new continuity, guess what? We get Alfred back, and Bruce is a billionaire again.
Forcing that guy into a life of servitude again. Ooh.
Not necessarily.
That was just
make him the butler.
It's kind of implied that he misses that life. He misses that life that he had with his son. It's like he doesn't even care that he's a billionaire. He would basically have his son back, and that's what he would ultimately want. And I mean, they had the perfect way to do it. They could have brought Alfred back without bringing Alfred back to life.
That's really sweet.
Oh, Chip Zdarsky's done a really good job with Batman. I mean, Chip Zdarsky pretty much does a very good job with everything he touches.
He does. He's like, oh my god! If you can write Daredevil and Howard the Duck, well, you can do anything. Anything. My god.
I gotta say, Chip Zdarsky, Jed McKay, Tom King, I'd love to bring them on this show.
I dug and dug and dug, and apparently Chip Zdarsky very rarely does interviews like this. And because let me tell you what, I would, especially when Daredevil became the right hand of God. Oh, I was scouring the internet trying to track him down to get him on the show.
Because that was incredible.
Oh God, yeah, that entire run. I still want to see him write Spider-Man. He is the
I
one
agree.
who fix Amazing Spider-Man.
Have you read Avengers Twilight #4 yet?
Wait a minute.
Binge it. I haven't started it, which is saying a lot. This is the Miss Marvel cover. I want to read it. I just haven't yet.
Is that the Miss Marvel cover?
And issue 3 is the Miss Marvel cover. They're on issue 5 now. No, they did 5 last week with Hawkeye.
Which one is that one about?
It does have Hawkeye. That's right. This is the one where Captain America is old.
No, I mean, which issue is that? What happens in that issue?
This is #4.
Yeah.
And this is where they call Thor back. And where they go on to fight all the forces that are
I think 3 was the last one I read because it was after the rally thing, and
it was at the raft, and
Captain America's kind of sitting there, and he's like, basically, I need help.
Well,
#3 is the raft, and Miss Marvel shows up and saves their bacon.
That's my girl. As she should.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I read that one.
But Avengers Twilight, so freaking good, and Chip Zdarsky has killed it. But it was the same kind of thing in that first issue when you meet Spider-Man for that all too brief time period. You just immediately, you're like, why can't you write Spider-Man during moments where he's happy?
Cough. Life story, cough.
Yeah.
And I don't agree with what he did with Daredevil and how fast he did it. But at the same time, I understand why he did it. And it's just simply because of his history with Daredevil.
Yeah.
That's what I took away from it.
I would fundamentally disagree with taking a street level character like Daredevil and putting him in this huge mega right hand of God fighting the devil and all of the forces of evil kind of a story, because it's so out of character, and it makes, how do you go back to regular street stories after that? Which the current guy's actually doing a really good job of. But you have to wipe the slate clean in order to do it. And that's more or less what happened. But I'm so impressed with how he did that and took you on that journey with Daredevil. I thought it was amazing.
But then with what he did to Daredevil in Twilight, or what he did with Matt Murdock in Twilight, I wanted to see, I'm trying not to ruin it for Aaron. I didn't want that to happen.
He's largely, you're unable to shake Aaron. He's going to read it and form his own opinion anyway.
Okay, so, they're all old men, and you only see Matt Murdock one time, maybe twice, and he's sitting on I think they were sitting on a park bench talking. And then I think it's the next episode, you find out that he was murdered the night before. So he's gone now. I would have loved to have seen an old crotchety, cranky Daredevil like fighting one more time. But at the same time, I think it was perfect that Zdarsky just killed him and moved on with this story. Because he could have very easily turned it into a Daredevil comic, which it shouldn't have been a Daredevil comic.
Right.
You know, it's an Avengers Captain America comic.
Did Daredevil ever get one of those the end one shots? I feel like
I
he
don't
would
think
be a
so.
character that would fit that concept really well.
Yeah, I think he would, but I don't think he did have one.
To me, Daredevil is a character that, as much as I hate to say it, there is no happy ending, and he should never make it to old age.
Even if he does, it's not going to be good.
Yeah.
He's always fighting an uphill battle all the time, but not in a hopeless way. That's the key.
Yeah.
He's always got faith that what he's doing is right, or it's going to result in the right thing anyway. And I think that's really important. But I love Daredevil, and I love when Daredevil is done right.
And we've been very fortunate because it's been done right for years. We've got a new writer, and it's still being done right. I mean, it's
kind of the same thing with Moon Knight, right? When Moon Knight is done right, Get Out is so good. And we have had the privilege of having Moon Knight done right for the past, 3-4 years now? And it's fantastic.
Moon Knight run this century that's been bad. Not one.
Well, the Sun King stuff and the whole psychedelic aspect of it.
I liked that run.
Well, I liked it, but it did get a little bit weird. Hush Your Mouth. Ben Affleck Daredevil was amazing. But it did get a little bit weird. But then after that, when Jed McKay took over and kind of rebooted Daredevil with Age of Khonshu, when that happened, it's everything since Age of Khonshu with Moon Knight has been absolutely flawless.
I will say that whole Sun King run, for me, what made it not work like I wanted it to work was that the art style didn't match the story.
Yeah.
That's fair. The
art style was very old school comics, and it was just kind of clean lines. It wasn't dark. It wasn't gritty at all. And Daredevil should have some shadow to play with, and it should be more contrasty, not so bright and storytelling. Yay!
Yeah, you're right. Actually, looking back on it, I don't think I've ever read that much Moon Knight in the sun, ever.
Right.
Yeah, and the one thing that I've enjoyed, especially, even I believe it was, issue 3 or 4 of the current Vengeance of Moon Knight, Marlena and the daughter are still getting referenced. His past is getting referenced. He didn't retcon anything. I mean, it's Raoul Bushman literally gets referenced to, in I think issue 5.
He shows up, yeah.
I mean,
he's there.
It's literally Jed McKay is treating Moon Knight like his entire history is on the table.
100%.
I mean, we even had an issue where basically the ghost of the original archaeologist that got killed way back in the 80s showed up. I mean, it's just Moon Knight has been so. And then when Pepos did the City of the Dead.
City of the Dead was so good.
But, Moon Knight is another one of those. He's like Daredevil. There is no happy ending.
No.
Oh, definitely not.
It's. Even when he dies, that he's going to end up in the City of the Dead still fighting.
Mm-hmm. Like Valhalla for him.
Yeah, there will be no peaceful eternity for him. At least with Daredevil. And, Daredevil has, that thing's been religious overtones for, years and years and years. That when Daredevil finally gets killed, there will be peace for him. But with Moon Knight, there's not even peace in eternity.
No.
I like those characters, but they don't deserve a happy ending.
Yeah.
Whoa.
They don't deserve old age.
City of the Dead was your first Moon Knight?
Oh, you really need to pick up that Jed McKay run. And I know it's 25, 26 issues?
It's 30.
30?
30 issues, and you can get it all in trade. It's very easy.
And
it's so good. And number 25 leads so perfectly into City of the Dead. It was like that could have been number 26, City of the Dead, number 1.
Yep.
Also, can I just say, I loved how authentically they integrated Scarlet Scarab from the TV show into the comics.
Oh, that was beautifully done.
It was seamless. It was perfect.
Yep.
That whole, just like in Damascus. Oh yeah, I forgot about what happened in Damascus. Yeah, like, oh man,
Mm-hmm.
because that was such a perfect ending to that second issue, and then you're like, man, this is not going the way I hoped, and then you're like, it went the way I hoped.
It's so.
It got referenced, and I cannot think. It was part of the Daredevil, where Daredevil goes to jail.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they did all the one shots, but you had the one shot where Moon Knight goes to jail.
Yeah.
But he actually went to jail because he wanted to go to jail because he was going to basically handle some business with somebody.
Yeah.
That is one of the best one shots I have ever read in comic books.
So good.
There's a few things we talked about the dinner scenes, right? But this going to jail and going through all this suffering to get what you want, and you go through more than people think you would ever be willing to do, but that was your plan all along.
Mm-hmm.
Is one of my favorite things in a well told story. So if you go to the second season of Daredevil on Netflix and you look at the Punisher story, holy smokes, that was so beautifully done.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, what kind of chutzpah does a guy have to do that?
Yeah.
And what kind of stony resilience does he have to just let himself suffer that way to get to the point where he can achieve what he wants? I thought it was brilliant. I thought that issue with Moon Knight was fantastic. The fact that he went in there and literally put the eyes out of Juggernaut, like, oh my God!
I like the fact that for years it's always been the unstoppable Juggernaut. Who can stop Juggernaut? Nobody can put Juggernaut down. He's going to keep coming back, and then all of a sudden you pick up one random tie-in issue, and you're like, oh, we know who can put Juggernaut down now.
There was another issue that happened in a jail. It was kind of a little bit different, but it was after the near death of Aunt May, when Spider-Man broke into the jail to go beat the ever-loving stuffing out of Wilson Fisk.
Yep.
Well,
that was way back.
That was Amazing Spider-Man. It was
What?
years and years ago.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
a long time ago.
Long time ago.
I've not read that part of it.
It was like going into the whole here comes Mephisto to undo everything.
Oh.
But the issue where he goes into jail to beat the ever-loving stew out of Wilson Fisk, and Wilson Fisk is like, you've taken some kind of drugs, you're hitting harder than you've ever hit before, and he's like, I'm just not holding back anymore. And you're like,
Mm-hmm.
That's cold.
Yeah, I'm just not holding back anymore. Oh my gosh, he's been pulling his punches this whole time.
Of course he has.
And now he's not. And yeah, it was so well done.
That's a superhuman. You go punch the tar out of somebody if you really tried.
It was. Did y'all ever watch Smallville?
No.
You never did. There's one scene where Tom Welling, the guy who plays Clark Kent, pulls it off perfectly, and has Jonathan Kent, John Snyder's trying to talk to him about everything that's going on in his life, all the powers and everything, and it hits you because you never think of it from his aspect. He's like, you don't understand. When I shake someone's hand, I have to make a conscious decision not to crush it.
Yeah.
If someone goes to give me a hug, when I hug them back, I have to make a conscious decision not to kill them with a hug.
Yeah.
And he literally goes through all that. Well, that was kind of the same thing with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
He's held back for all these, and then one cartoon episode where Superman tells Darkseid the best thing about him is he doesn't have to hold back anymore because he knows Darkseid can take it. Yeah, I love those speeches like that.
Kara has a speech like that in Woman of Tomorrow. But she's specifically talking about it in contrast with Clark, because like Clark was raised with that environment, understanding that limitation like as he's grown up. Whereas for Kara, it was like a complete 180 because her body reacts to Earth incredibly differently than it did on Krypton, and she like was mature enough to understand how her body worked on Krypton. So she was like, it's exactly that, the handshake and having and like could kill somebody, except hers is I have to train myself to not do this thing the way that I've always done it for fear of hurting people, because
It's like Ultron and Avengers 2, right?
yeah, I didn't know you were so squishy.
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah, but like for Kara, it's like a conscious choice of like having to relearn everything because she's an alien in her own body because of what Earth's atmosphere does to her, which I thought was a really cool way of going about that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love speeches like that. That's so cool. I didn't know Clark had that on Smallville. That's really neat.
Yeah, he had the Smallville was really good because they had the rule no tights and no flights.
Mhm.
So it was literally him as a teenager. I mean, he not only can he not fly, but at one point when Kal-El actually comes out, he does fly. But when Clark kind of comes back to himself, that whole situation scared him.
Yeah.
So that they did. Yeah, Smallville was so good. Christine, even she's putting on here. Smallville was so good. The end of it
Go in my hand.
is a little disappointing in the aspect of by this point you want to see Tom Welling as Superman.
Yeah.
And all you get is kind of glimpses of the costume.
Yeah, that jacket, that zip up jacket.
Oh, no, yeah, that was bad. But if you watch it, you will admit that by the end of it, Tom Welling and Erica Durance are the best Lois and Clark we've ever seen.
They give him the suit in the finale, don't they?
Yeah, they give him the suit, but he's literally, and it's truly the first time, he takes up through the fortress and he's got the suit in his hand, and you slowly see like the suit just kind of like he's changing, and then all you get is the blur.
Yeah.
From he's flying so fast, and then the very last scene, he is walking out of the rooftop and he pulls his shirt open like Christopher Reeves, and that's as close as you get to it.
Yeah. I've seen people compare that scene to the ending scene in Gotham when they have their like tiny Bruce Wayne aged up and he's Batman. Although I don't think they give you enough of a glimpse of it. I think it's like panning up from the rooftop, like him shrouded in the darkness of the night, so you can barely see the suit. But it's like he's in it. He's got the cowl. Oh my god!
And that's kind of how they did it with Smallville.
Yeah, I'm kind of happy how you have to end those stories. Otherwise, it's like you got to do it at some point. And if not now, when? And we can't spend a whole season in the suit because then it takes away its meaning.
Yep.
Origin story, even if it's an 11-year origin story.
Yeah, and I mean Christine's right. It was a great soap opera. I think you would love it, Aaron.
Yeah.
I mean, I was engulfed in it for 10 years. I mean,
I saw the first season. I liked the first season a lot.
Yeah.
that intro, oh my god. The opening like theme song for it, it's such a product of its time. It's so funny.
Everybody loves Remy Zero. You know it. That's the only song.
Yeah, it's no hate. I'm just like, wow, this really was made in 2001. It's really good though.
All right, Aaron. So, what are some comics you've been reading? What are you caught up on now?
Moon Knight and Blood Hunt were the two big ones that I was excited about. I've been really behind. I don't know what's been going on. I really like Spectacular Spider-Man. Issue 2 just
so
as
great.
Was.
Yes. Have you read Spectacular Spider-Man?
Yes.
Alan?
I hadn't read that one.
So good.
It's Peter Parker and Miles Morales together.
Yep.
Doing arachnobatics.
Yes. I forgot
it's like they essentially have like a meetup once a week or whatever.
Yeah.
Where they just hang out and like chat and get talking to know each other and all this. But of course things happen. They have to solve things. But all of the stuff where it's so self-referential, like where Peter will crack a joke and Miles just looks at him like, dude, that joke is so old and tired. He's like, yeah, no, I feel like I've been giving that joke for 60 years. They're like, aha, it's because you have, buddy. But really, really good. And this last issue, issue number 2, actually took something I thought was not going to be possible and made me like, I have feelings about these characters that I should be just watch him beat the stew out of them and be done with it. But now I'm like, oh man.
Yeah. The only things I'm like really, really caught up on that's like actually like going into its run is the end of the Krakoa X-Men era, like the fall of X. I'm caught up on all of that. I have mixed feelings. I don't know how much I really liked Krakoa as a concept, but the character highlights of like the people that they're specifically highlighting and when is really good. And like they're choosing really good characters to play with in that sandbox.
Oh, I had no mixed feelings whatsoever.
Me neither.
Just bad.
Yeah, I had no mixed feelings whatsoever. I did not like the whole Krakoa thing at all. I loved the Powers of X and House of 10 or House of X, whatever you want to call it.
And nobody buys the 10 Men. It's X-Men.
Yeah. Okay, whatever. But I love that miniseries that Hickman did. It was so good.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when I can't remember who it was because it's been so long, but I think they were chasing Sabretooth and somebody else.
Yep.
And all of a sudden the portal opens up and Cyclops comes walking through, and the heroes see Cyclops and they automatically back down. And you're thinking, hey, we're finally going to get that badass Cyclops that we've wanted for years. And then the ongoing series start, and yeah, it was downhill from there.
The way that they set up that run, especially like setting up House and Powers for like 12 issues, and then you had like 8 issues on Earth actively feeling the political drama of Krakoa, and then by issue 8 they're in space doing the Brood again. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that was exhausting.
And the fact that they released went fresh out of the gate with, oh, we have 9 new series. You have to read them all, and you're like, no, that's too many.
Yeah. I didn't enjoy. That was when I stopped. So I came back for Miss Marvel becoming a mutant and like the Fall of X stuff.
Well, then they also had the what was it? Cross of Swords or whatever.
Oh, I didn't read that
storyline that was 22 chapters across all the different books. That's ridiculous.
That was stupid.
That was so stupid.
I found a trade of it at like a Barnes & Noble, and I was flipping through it, and I was like, this is nonsensical. This is Excalibur number 19, Marauders number 20. Like, it was just, I was like, I can't even keep up with it. And then it didn't even make sense because they were written as tie-ins for the books that they were written for. They weren't even written as a full thing.
Yep.
But the Fall and Rise of the House and Powers of X has been really good. And I'm very excited about this new X-Men. Yeah. What are you going to say, Alan?
So you are you're definitely a Marvel fan.
Mm-hmm.
Have you, and I mean, this may be a no, have you been keeping up or trying to pick up the Ghost Machine stuff?
No.
Geiger, Redcoat.
Yeah, Geiger.
Oh, we talked about this on the phone. No, I haven't, but I would.
Because I would like to get your perspective on that, because you look at scenes differently than most.
He does,
people.
and that would be awesome to get his take on it.
Slip some in my box. Let's do it.
Oh, we can do that.
Yeah, I would, especially Redcoat and Rook. I mean, Geiger's great. Don't get me wrong. I love Geiger. I mean, I'll continue reading Geiger as long as they print it. But Redcoat and Rook are different than what we've seen right now.
Yeah.
And honestly, the way Rook is laid out, the way the panels and the scenes are portrayed and the whole story plays out, to me, it even looks differently than a normal comic because the whole feel of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to get your perspective on that.
Absolutely.
Because you do look at those types of scenes differently than most people.
Thank you. I will report back with my findings. That's exciting. Yeah, the other day, I just like made a big pile. I got through like 15 issues I've been meaning to read forever. Yes.
See, that scares me.
Well, I was just going to say, this is previews, and we could talk through some of the stuff that's coming up if we want.
Let's do it.
Run through it right quick.
Let's do it.
Well, in big and me, so I can show pictures.
And
so right out of the gate on the cover, we've got X-Men #1. This is the Jed MacKay, Ryan Stegman X-Men.
Yeah.
On the back cover, interestingly, because not really published as part of this whole initial story, is X-Force.
Yes.
Now, at first glance, it kind of looks like that's Thunderbird there, but it is not, I don't think. It's Forge.
It is Forge. Mm-hmm.
That is Oh, it is.
They did resurrect.
You can tell because he's got the terrible mustache.
Yep.
Yeah. X-Force is actually Forge's team. A lot of people thought it was going to be Deadpool's team because of the cover. Deadpool is a cameo character who's only in like the first couple issues, and they're going to do like a revolving door. It's the same team except for one person who keeps getting swapped out for somebody who's going to be like relevant to whatever mission X-Force is going on.
You know,
okay, that makes it more palatable to me because I've always liked Forge.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I liked, and it was just they ended it because of the whole House and Powers, but that short-lived cable series they had going.
Yep.
And every once in a while, you would see original X-Force members show up in it. That was I liked that. That was actually a pretty good series.
Oh, before we get to this.
Oh, hey, look, that's not even fair. Aliens should win that hands down.
Fair. Can we show that X-Men cover real quick? I have something that I'm very excited about with the X-Men #1 cover. The X-Men roster that they're presenting right there underneath Beast. You see that sad little face? They have one of the Morlocks as an X-Men. Like when you search the roster and like they pull out the description of who the roster of the X-Men are, they include this character. His name is Zorn, and he's one of the Morlocks from the Morlock tunnels, which I think is such a radically cool thing to do with the X-Men because then you get the actual perspectives of mutants who are like prejudiced and like fought and targeted for just in modern world, even outside of Krakoa. Like this goes back way to like the Claremont stuff. I'm so excited for that because that's actually what a person with a genetic mutation who's not an X-Men, like what they're going to see the world as. I think it's a really cool perspective to have, especially in this like post Krakoa. Our haven has been stolen from us.
I agree with that. Now, before we get to Matt Posey's comment, Aliens versus Avengers. Here's the key.
I mean,
Jonathan Hickman and Asad Ribic. So, Jonathan Hickman, the same guy who's writing Ultimate Spider-Man, the same guy who wrote House and Powers of X, had a great run on Fantastic Four. Same guy who is writing Marvel Gods. He's writing Avengers versus Aliens, and I'm kind of here for it. And I got to tell you, one of the things that I'm particularly interested in, nervous about, is a face hugger implants on somebody with superhero powers. The xenomorph takes on some of the traits of its host.
It generally takes the strongest traits on top of that.
So picture that. And suddenly you've got a very, very bad scenario.
Yeah.
But my whole thing about it is...
Not to mention a superhero dies horrifically.
When it comes to aliens, generally those of us that read them, those comics, we're really and truly only expecting, looking for, and care about one character surviving.
Oh, absolutely.
So how do you do this with with the Marvel superhero? And we know this cannot be canon on any level.
No, it's definitely not. No, it's definitely going to be dark. I mean, Jonathan Hickman can write some dark, and Asad Ribic's art style is very mature looking.
Yeah, I think Iron Man has an advantage with the suit because the facehuggers can't get to him. Carol has an advantage because the Xenomorph and the Brood have a lot in common.
Yeah, shocking amount.
Also, she is the most vulnerable because if she gets the facehugger and they get her powers, everyone's dead. They're dead.
Oh yeah. Ooh. Bamf.
So I don't know. I don't know who would be the MVP of that book. Also, it depends on what the Avengers roster is. Oh.
Yep.
Well, as long as he doesn't make them bleed, there won't be any acid blood.
Gold titanium alloy, man. First of all.
But also, as long as he doesn't make them bleed, there's no blood. If he uses his repulsor rays and just cauterizes everything as he goes, there he's fine.
They could do that in Infinity War where he like repulsor rays through like the blast door and sucks them all into the void of space.
I mean, honestly, if you're an alien queen, I'm going to do everything I can to get one of my face huggers on Juggernaut. I mean, an alien version of Juggernaut or Hulk.
Do we know what the Avengers roster is for that book?
Well, on the cover, they have Captain America, Iron Man, and Carol Danvers. But outside of that, I don't know.
Interesting. Because I think the rest of that roster is going to be what defines how bad the Avengers have it.
True.
Or how bad the aliens have it. Yeah. I'm both super excited and super nervous. Very excited and very nervous about NYX. That is a very strange team.
Yep.
It's also
That's exactly correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's Laura Kinney's Wolverine, Prodigy, a new guy I've not heard of before named Noel, one of the Stepford Cuckoos, and Miss Marvel.
To answer your question, Matt, Avengers versus Aliens is a limited series. Has to be.
Yeah. I'm real nervous about NYX. I'm excited about having Kamala in an ongoing. I've not had that in 6 years. So I'm very excited about that. But I'm also like, that seems like a weird place. And it seems very like, I don't know. The vibes of that seem strange. I'm going to read that first issue and then assess my findings. But right now, I'm nervous. I like that she has the costume back. I'm very excited about Phoenix.
Okay, tell me why.
That the little blurb that they have at the bottom,
where it says Nova.
Yes, but also
I know you're a fan of Nova.
That wasn't where my brain was going, but that is where my brain peripherally exists. The way that they've described that book makes it feel like they're writing it like a Silver Surfer story.
Yep.
Which I appreciate a lot, and I think having Jean by herself with the Phoenix and the voices in her head and have that sort of like Stanley classic soliloquy lone rider in space fits Jean's character perfectly, especially
okay, here's what it says for everybody who's going, what is he talking about?
Yeah.
It says she is Jean Grey. She is Phoenix. She saves the world. She brings death. One woman alone in space who not only must do what no one else can, she yearns to. A desperate SOS from Nova brings the Phoenix to the edge of a black hole where hundreds of lives hang in the balance, and whatever Jean does or fails to do will bring darkness to the universe and haunt her in ways she can scarcely imagine. Yeah, that sounds very Silver Surfer. You're right.
I'm so excited. A good space age soliloquy. That's all it takes.
To answer your question, it's not 5 issues or 8 issues, Matt. It is 4 issues.
Oh.
1 of 4.
Yeah, I just looked it up.
Are there any new characters on the variant covers that give us some clue to the roster?
It's hard to tell. It's extremely hard to tell.
Yeah, I kind of Googled it just to see some of the articles about it. And all I'm really seeing is basically xenomorphs reach Earth, and the perfect organism meets a planet of superhumans. That's all they're really saying.
That's not going to end well for anybody.
No.
Oh,
No, it is not.
one thing I am excited about for NYX is the return of Miss Marvel's original costume. God, I need her out of that X-Men suit so bad. I'm really happy to have her back in her like old threads. It makes
Now-
me happy.
Okay, what do you think about this? It's a 4-issue limited series written by Chris Claremont. Wolverine Deep Cut.
Question. Is this the book where they're like chronicling Wolverine's entire history in like chronological order? Is this that book or is that a different book?
I think it's a different book because this is at last Logan's secret adventure revealed.
Oh, I know what this is. Okay. I am excited about this.
It's Logan. It's back in Uncanny X-Men 246. Logan set off from the Australian outback, leaving behind what was left of the X-Men for a personal mission. And now, after decades of mystery, we find out what happened after X-Men 246. Way back in the day.
Which was in 1988?
Oh, no.
No?
No, 246 was well before that.
Oh.
No,
Let's see.
yeah, 246 would have been in the 80s.
Let's see. When was that published? Not because I'm
Life of Wolverine is the one you were talking about.
Yes. 1989. Yep. Yeah,
And that's the chronological order, the history of Wolverine.
The Claremont book was in 1989.
Yep.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Yeah, I'm not really a big Wolverine fan, but both of those really excite me.
Do you think, but them doing like this lost story, do you think that that's kind of because they did that with Kraven the Lost Hunt?
Yeah, they did.
So do you think we're going to start getting more of this whole lost story thing since they're doing a Wolverine one now?
Well, they're not calling it that, but maybe.
Okay.
Maybe.
If
they can get the original writers who wrote good stuff to write more good stuff, I'm on board with that.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to the garbage that they're putting out in Amazing Spider-Man right now.
Spider Goblin. Oh, I'm so tired. Yeah.
You know everybody
What
wants
if
that book.
Donald Duck became Wolverine?
Look, all I'm going to say about this book is put a copy in my box, put a copy in Nick's box, put a copy in Aaron's box. We all want it. We're not going to admit it.
I want to see him go berserk and do the quacky thing. That's so funny. Yeah, him making those sounds when he's flashing people up.
Sneak.
Exactly. Yes. That's so funny. It's like those Disney covers that they've been doing for like the Amazing Spider-Man run over the last like 5 years. Those are so funny. I want to read them. I want Mickey Mouse's Iron Man. I don't know why, but I do.
I want Spider Goof.
Yes.
How long are they going to continue to do this?
I would guess as long as they can keep milking that cow.
Make them books, please. It's so funny. Clarabelle is the Silver Surfer. Are you kidding me? That's awesome.
All right, so I want to flip quickly just to this cover because it's a character we don't get to see a whole lot these days. And I think it's pretty cool that he shows up. It's appropriate for this story, but look at that. Look at Baron Blood on that cover.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Also, look at Hercules.
Hercules.
Who is that?
So big.
Who is that in the yellow?
That is Hazmat from the Avengers Academy story.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
See, I never read Avengers Academy.
But look at Baron Blood, man. He looks terrifying.
Yeah. They've been upping her to like Avengers caliber stuff with like Captain Marvel of late. She's like the only character from that book that they've kept around, but she's there. I really like that Avengers team too, like the B team.
Yeah. Good. Now I can't wait to
Werewolf by night, blood hunt.
Is Jake or Jack?
That's what I was about to ask.
Let's see if it says Jake.
That makes sense.
Good, because I liked that miniseries. Was it last year or year before last? I thought that was a good. I thought that was a good miniseries, and then we kind of heard nothing about it. But then we got the one shot, back around Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
But I was glad to see Jack back. I mean, that was cool too.
Hulk blood hunt doesn't really excite me.
Unless Hulk becomes a vampire, at which point I would read that. That sounds cool.
I would definitely not want that. But if somebody gets some Hulk blood and like maxes out on their Hulk, this is just one of the coolest covers I've seen in forever, and it's terrifying.
Gammatized vampire sounds bad. I love that cover.
Isn't
that amazing?
Like I can hear the rubber sounds as like his skin gets pulled, like a balloon. Oh, visceral.
That right there reminds me of Clive Barker's The Inhuman Condition. I love that.
Is that with Marvel's Inhumans, or is that something different?
No,
Clive Barker.
No, Clive Barker. It's a horror novel, The Inhuman Condition.
Oh, okay.
Speaking of which, I almost sent you something I saw earlier. I saw somebody made a pinhead birthday cake.
Ooh.
And all of the candles were the pins.
Yep. That would be so fun.
It was pretty fantastic. I don't care for the super anime looking.
I have feelings. I don't like Natasha Romanoff being a Venom. I think that's
No.
Honestly, that looks like something you would see on Webtoons.
Yep, that's all anime, and it's Black Widow should not be Black Venom. It's not good.
Yeah, I was really excited about the Black Widow Hawkeye mini, and then that's been kind of the sole focus of that book so far, is the fact that Natasha has a symbiote and thus cannot be reasoned with. I'm very excited for the Namor run.
It's written by Jason Aaron.
I'm so excited. I really like his Namor voice from when he was writing Avengers.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Matt Posey.
Yep. Ditto.
My question about Namor is, didn't they try this and it didn't go over that well? Like a year or two ago, they tried something with Namor?
They did. This is a little different, though, I think. This is, because what was it? What was it like? Something shores. Coastal.
I remember him sitting on like a coral reef or something, looking like some sad little emo person.
Yeah. Distant shores, vanquished
Something like that.
Shores, conquered shores. Namor conquered shores. That's what it was called. I liked it. It wasn't doing anything special though. This seems like it's actually setting up a new status quo for Namor in a way.
Well, when it says Jason Aaron re-envisions the world of Marvel's first mutant, I think they pretty much gave him carte blanche to do what he wants.
Yeah. It's so exciting.
If this is as good as the recent limited series was, I'm totally on board. Because that 4-issue limited series during Gang War was spectacular.
Yep.
Yeah.
Really liked it.
I really like Elektra as the Daredevil. It makes me...
and I like the fact that they are not trying to bill her as a female Daredevil. I like the fact that she's wearing it to pay homage to him.
Yeah.
In honor of him.
Yeah. Very good. Very good stuff.
My in-laws' power just now came back on.
Really?
The tornadoes.
Mm-hmm.
Yikes.
So, Carrie Andrews had more to say, so Spider-Man Reign 2.
Okay.
That sure is a book.
We got
I didn't think the first one was all that, but okay.
Was that Miles Morales on steroids?
It surely looks like it. Over the grave of Peter Parker. This right here, that you referenced earlier. Pure stupidity.
Yep.
Spider Goblin, Peter Parker as get out. Just get out.
Blink, blink.
0 people want that, Marvel.
Dumb.
0 people. I will say, Aaron, I don't know if you are reading any of the 2099 titles.
I read one issue of it.
I'm guessing you're going to want this one.
Oh, I want all of those. I'm really excited about the Annihilation 2099 stuff. Yeah. They're doing a new character for that too. They're introducing the 2099 Star-Lord. And she's from the like intergalactic outposts that Wakanda made in like 2019. Which I think is a really fun way to bring back that concept.
That is.
And then the Silver Surfer one looks really good too. I don't remember what the other 2 were. I know they did Big 5.
Well, they're doing another Spider-Man 2099 right now.
Oh.
I read, and that's where they introduced Man-Thing 2099.
Yeah, that was the one issue that I did read because I was like,
is it going to be about Miguel?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't care for. I'm not a big Iron Man reader, never have been. That cover, though, especially hate Emma Frost, but that cover, that's pretty cool.
It is a pretty cool cover. Their romance is very interesting because it is mostly business, and I can appreciate that. It's like just a spy thriller espionage. We're in a relationship as a cover. It feels very like it feels like a Bond movie. I don't know. It's fun. Because they got Stark Industries building Sentinels that look like giant Iron Men. It's a lot. It's a lot.
It is a lot. I have to say, going back to dinner scenes, there have been a few really great kind of Norman Rockwell-looking covers, but this one's spectacular.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Thor and Hercules arm wrestling while Thor's not even paying attention, and then you got that out the window. That's just awesome.
Grody. I'm really excited about the Blood Hunt Avengers tie-in for like their B team with all of the main Avengers incapacitated at the moment. That's such a good roster, and it's such a strange one. Because it's Steve Rogers as Captain America, Kate Bishop's Hawkeye, Hercules, Quicksilver, and Hazmat from the Avengers Academy. Short, sweet, simple, powerhouse. Bring it on.
So, if you were writing it, which heroes are you turning into vampires?
Of the B team or of the A team?
Anybody in the Marvel Universe.
Quicksilver as a vampire would be horrific. I'm scared.
No.
I'm scared if that happens. Hulk as a vampire would be so scary. Like, I would pick the ones where I'm like, if I saw the concept, I'd be like, oh no. Like, a Hercules-sized vampire, that's horrific. That's a terrible mental image. But Quicksilver, I think, is probably the one that my brain immediately goes to. Also, I traumatized Pietro more.
That's what I liked about DC versus vampires. They were not afraid to turn one of your favorite heroes into a vampire. And then the big reveal on who the Vampire King was, I thought was brilliant.
I haven't read DC versus Vampires. Do they maintain the continuity that the vampires can't bite the Kryptonians?
I don't want to deny you the discovery of that answer if you read it.
I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to be able to read it. I don't have a copy of that.
It's kind of hard to explain. As far as Kryptonians are concerned, there is a Kryptonian that could potentially save them, but at the same time, the sun is kind of blocked out, so that Kryptonian really don't mean too much. Except, it's a very detailed story, and it's kind of hard just to like the.
But they thought about it.
Yeah, they thought about it, and then say like at one point, the only hope to get people out of these little human concentration camps they have, John Constantine has to do something to basically a dried, shriveled up twig that ends up becoming Man Thing, which
You mean Swamp Thing?
yeah, Swamp Thing, which is disturbing and funny at the same time.
Yeah.
So they had to put a lot of thought into this, and it was really good the way they did it.
That's really cool. I remember, like, I haven't read the issues, but there is one particular issue of, like, I think it may have been Action Comics, where Superman is, like, coming into contact with a vampire, and they bite him, and, like, one of the vampires is able to bite him. But when they go to drain his blood has so much, like, residual sunlight energy inside of it, that when the vampire drinks his blood, it like burns him from the inside out as if he had been like exposed to the sun.
Well, let's just say that the sun is no longer a factor.
That's fair. I mean, it has to be. It's a vampire story.
And
I like that for Blood Hunt.
To be honest with you, the way they do the Vampire King and who it's kind of setting up to be his queen, you would be completely and totally happy if the vampires win.
Is it Wonder Woman?
Do what?
Is it Wonder Woman?
Oh, no. But Wonder Woman does end up becoming a vampire.
Sick.
Yep.
Who would the vampire queen... man, now I gotta read the book!
What's happening, Blue? Hell yeah!
The Vampire King himself, you're just kind of like, okay, I don't know how I feel about that. That's cool. I like that. I see where they're going now. And then when he starts talking about his queen and you know who you want it to be, and then you're just like, okay, let her become the queen to his king and let's end this. Vampires win. I'll be happy.
That's so vague, but so enticing. Well done.
Alan excels at that.
I can just ask Matt Posey. I can sell a comic book.
That's
Vague and enticing. That's how he picked up his wife.
Yep.
All right, so go ahead.
No, I was going to say about Blood Hunt, something I was really, really excited about. They name-dropped Victoria Montesi in 2024. I was not expecting that in a billion years. Like, I read the first issue of Blood Hunt, and I was like, man, they did their homework. This is spectacular. This fits
Jed
so well.
McKay likes to do that and dig up characters who are like everybody else has forgotten.
I didn't forget about Victoria Montesi, and I'm so glad because I was like, I understand what he's teasing with this, and that makes me very excited, and I hope that becomes a little more prominent than a one-time reference. We'll find out.
Yeah.
I'm fairly certain she's dead, but when has that ever stopped anybody in a comic book?
Blue's got an interesting one. Honestly, I think if Wolverine becomes a vampire, that would be the best way to kill him. Because he's going to become vulnerable then.
Oh.
You don't think so?
Does count for curses?
I think his healing factor makes it impossible for him to become a vampire.
Good point, because technically it would be like a blood disease.
Yep.
What if it's a curse, though?
If it's a
Wolverine
curse,
can be cursed. He can be cursed. Oh, that'd be so gross, though. Like the sunlight coming in and him like turning to dust and then like reforming out of the. Ugh, gross. I'm into it.
Now, so they're doing the werewolf by night. What if Jack gets bit? Does he become a werewolf vampire hybrid?
Double.
Kind of like Underworld?
where he's got the big werewolf fangs and then they're just point because they're vampire fangs.
Yep.
I don't know.
Or is he, could he actually be the leader of a new little resistance?
Because he could be immune to it.
Yeah.
Mm.
There's a lot of possibilities with this story. There really is.
Here's the thing. We're going to find out.
I'm so excited. I hope we see Elsa Bloodstone.
I really do too. She's
Yeah.
perfect for this. Now, before we sign off, just remember you can pick up your comic little minifig and stand packs at the shop with your G.I. Joe little tiny action figures and your comic in a stand. Guys, there's actually 2 comics in there too, so you get 2 comics, a stand with its branded G.I. Joe, and 2 little minifigs. It's a good deal, and it's pretty awesome, so you should do that.
You should.
Any last things you want to say before we sign off and let folks get back to their evenings?
Honestly, if you made it this far into the video, tonight has been a really, really good nerd night. If you've got friends that enjoy conversations like these, because we kind of deep dove on multiple topics and we jumped all over the place, and I loved our entire conversation tonight. Share out the video. Because
Which reminds me,
yeah,
this is episode number 99 of Shop Talk. So next week's episode will be our 100th episode.
How exciting. Send this to your friends if they need help folding their laundry.
Is this a good laundry folding?
Great laundry conversation, yes.
I
Never
would
thought
rather
of
be
that.
pillow talk. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, that's a good question. Oh yeah, you can't forget her pie. You've got to draw her pie.
Oh crap! I forgot all about that. I got like so into the conversation. Christine, are you still around?
She is. She just reminded you to draw her pie.
I can do this. I can crank this out and then add some detail tomorrow.
It'd be awesome.
I
feel like you need to turn your camera on this so we can see.
Oh, it's going to be very difficult to turn my camera on it.
I'm just picturing this drawing on the top of Alan's head.
Yeah.
That's a very different show, Blue Hellion. I mean, no less compelling, but very different. You're right. That was like a true artist. He's like, yeah, I can do this, and it's going to be even better tomorrow. Hey, Mike, good night, brother. You have a good one. We're all waiting in anticipation of what is Alan coming up with.
Genuinely, this show does help me do my laundry sometimes. I said that not as a tried and true a person who has done it, as someone who has had the experience. I folded my laundry to the show before.
I guess it works because you don't have to necessarily see what's going on so much as you can hear what's happening.
We tend to announce when we're showing something on camera that's cool. We're like, hey, look at this cover, look at this art. Oh my gosh, look at what I have.
Josh was artistic at some point in his life, but that point was a long time ago. He's really going to town on this pie. I'm really curious here.
What flavor?
Oh, I told you there's more than pie.
What flavor is your pie?
It's got to be blueberry.
Fair.
Possibly coconut cream.
It's going to be something with nuts in it, because nuts would be like a good projectile, and you'll understand why I just said that here in a minute.
So it's a pecan pie.
Pecan pie as a launched object would be dangerous. That would
hurt so bad.
Hurt really bad.
Yeah, pecan pie to the face.
Yeah, as a projectile.
I think this right here needs to be our on our covers. This statement right here. That needs to be a Google review for this show.
Aww. Also, I love your Carmen Sandiego profile picture. That's fun.
Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego. The Rock loves pie. Smell what the Rock is cooking.
You're making a blueberry pie.
Yeah, this is. I color me intrigued. I'm dying to see this.
All right, so
Here we go, Christine.
I'll add some detail to it tomorrow. But here's your pie. Here is me holding your pie. Here is me throwing your pie at Nick and Nick getting knocked down. And there is a dead Nick with pushing up a daisy. Because I hit him in the face with a pie. Aaron is like, what the hell?
Can you redo that as a flip book?
I might actually try to do that tomorrow just for the
That
fun.
would be really funny to watch him like actually soar and then the daisy like sprout. I thought they were flowers like he was holding like at a funeral or like Sleeping Beauty or something. That's
Yeah, I mean, that's Nick holding the flowers after he's dead from me hitting him in the face with a pie.
Oh my gosh, it's beautiful. 10 out of 10. Getting it framed.
Yeah. And, hey, look, to even show you the level of detail, if you'll look, the pie actually gets bigger as it gets closer to Nick, symbolizing it coming toward him and he's seeing it get bigger.
I thought maybe it slipped some like PIM particles into the pie.
You know what? We can go with that too.
Whatever makes it kill Nick.
Yep.
Oh, see?
No, Nick deserves no defense whatsoever.
Yeah,
Right.
Nick had his chance. See, that's what you don't know, Blue Hellion. Nick had his chance.
Yeah, he legit had a chance to put a real pie in my face last Saturday morning, and he blew it.
He didn't show up.
Mm-mm.
Nick can draw a response next week. That's true. I can have an ongoing response. This would be good.
An art challenge for the 100th episode.
For our 100th episode.
For the
That's right.
100th episode. God, that's going to be some awful art.
That would be pretty terrible. Oh, my Lord. All right, everybody. You guys have a great night. And stay out of trouble best you can. If you got bad weather headed your way, stay safe.
Yes.
And we will catch you next week for episode number 100 of our show, which the legacy numbering will be number 176. But it will be our 100th episode of Shop Talk, and we're pretty excited and proud about that. We're also like 3 subscribers away from 600 subs. So y'all get on that. Use all your aliases. Tell all your friends. Whatever. But get us those subs, and we will catch you guys next time. Peace out, y'all. Because y'all are awesome, and we think you're great. I don't care what Nick says.